All right, so finally, we've been able to see some portions of the manifesto from the Nashville school shooter, the person that shot up 6 innocent people. Steven Crowder and his team were able to get their hands on at least 3 pages that they claim were verified of the mass shooter. And guys, I got to be frank with you, I'm not sure what the big deal was. I don't understand why the police tried to keep this information from us. What we do have here is a person that was a terrorist. We will get into that. Apparently, they didn't want Christians to be victimized and people to feel sympathetic to them. There's a mental illness issue we have to talk about here. Second Amendment issue we have to talk about here. Class warfare issue we have to talk about here. Was this person on the radar of the FBI? Got to talk about that. This person was clearly a racist. Got to talk about all that. So I guess now that I think about it, now that I air all of those things out, I guess I understand why the left wanted to hide this manifesto, and we will get into that. But first, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble is where you can go to find it. All things social media at The Carl Jackson Show. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We are on. Now we're back on camera. We're on Facebook, True Social Getter, Instagram, Twitter, wherever I am on social media. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me. Please also support our sponsor, My Pillow, Mike Lindell at My Pillow, a fabulous patriot in Mike Lindell. He has built a fabulous American company, American-made products. Right now, the Giza sheets are still available for 50% off if you use the promo code Carl. Just click on the radio podcast square at the top of the page and enter my name, Carl, C-A-R-L, or give them a call, 800-858-0263. You're going to be providing or helping with American jobs and American manufacturing when you buy, and plus the discounts are so insane right now. We're all struggling under Bidenomics, so there are great deals available at mypillow.com if you want to get some early Christmas shopping out of the way. Use the promo code Carl. All right, guys, so I got to be honest with you. I was a little underwhelmed by some of the manifesto, and I'll read some of the quotes from the mass murderer from some of the pages that Steven Crowder was able to obtain. But basically, what we have is a person that was transitioning to another sex that was a terrorist. This doesn't bode well for the Democrat Party. Apparently, the narrative was we have to make sure that people don't feel sympathetic towards Christians. In my opinion, we'll get into that. There's a mental illness issue, which I mentioned as well. We have to talk about that. The Second Amendment. I think this mass shooting makes it clear that guns were the solution, or would have been the solution to this. If you go back to the beginning of this video, you see when this person enters the school right away, they shoot through the glass door, or she shoots through the glass door. And then she ducks her body through the framing of the doors into the entrance of the school. Frankly, that would have been a perfect time were there an armed guard to take out that threat. We got to talk about the class warfare, all of this stuff. This woman here is a product of the left. This shooter is a product of the left. And we all knew that. We all knew, for the most part, what the manifesto was going to say. Now, it's been confirmed, and I got to be frank with you, it's a little underwhelming. There's some things that were said in there that makes me wonder, was this person already being watched? Was this person already a threat? So let's just go through some of the things. Before I do, there is some big news today. Obviously, today is an election day. This is a huge day for conservatives across the country, or at least in some places. And so I want to make sure that I encourage you, for those of you that might be listening to the podcast right away, to get out and vote, to get out and make your voices heard. There are the stakes are really high in the gubernatorial race in Kentucky. So get out and vote for Daniel Cameron. The polls were indicating that he was down by at least 16 points approximately a month ago. Although the polls were a little whacked, they were just monitoring or accounting for registered voters as opposed to likely voters. But now that the polling has shifted to likely voters, what they've seen is that this race is basically neck and neck. This is going to be huge. Obviously, people are going to look at these races as a referendum as to what as to what's to come in 2024. Now, frankly, 2024 is a long time away, but these races are very, very important. Also, there's some confusion on Ohio's abortion ballot measure today. Let me just click on this real quick to see who this is from. This is from Real Clear Politics, and this is a goal. Guys, it's almost always a good idea to vote no on some of these, on the vast majority of amendments that pop up, because the majority of the time, the goal is to make you confused in the language. They just give you a very short snippet or a very short summary of the amendment, and then when you read it later in its entirety, the thing is like pages long, and it's a bunch of legalese that no one understands except for attorneys. So it's almost always a good idea to just vote no on some of these amendments that pop up. And we also know that what Democrats are doing specifically when it comes to issue 1 in Ohio is they're trying to confuse people. It's what they do with the amendment process. When Democrats don't when Democrats don't get their way, when leftists don't get their way, they can't debate the issues, right? So they want to trick you. That's exactly what's happening on issue 1. So Ohio Republicans and pro-life groups are intensifying their efforts to oppose the ballot measure seeking to enshrine abortion rights in the state constitution and the final crucial days. Now, Ohio is not like a pro-abortion state, right? It's not a deep red state. It's not a deep blue state. It's pretty much purple, it seems, but it's been trending red lately. So they throw these ballot initiatives or these amendments on the ballot. They confuse people in the wording, and then all of a sudden, people that wouldn't vote to enshrine abortion in the Constitution are, oh yeah, I think ladies should be able to do this, and then they vote for it. They can't have a straight up debate. So voters will determine its fate today in the most watched election in the country, according to many, because the issue is, as well as, okay, post Roe v. Wade, is America still reacting? And frankly, I think the Democrat Party still wants to get a rise out of people. They're hoping the frustration from Roe v. Wade will linger all the way through 2024. But I think most women are starting to realize, oh, wait a minute, nothing's changed. If I want to go have an abortion, I can, it's sick. It's a sick thought, but it's true. So make sure that you vote no on this issue number 1. All right. That is that. What else is in the news today? What's important? Let me share this with you. Let me just go real quick before I get on to this issue with this mass shooter, with this manifesto, because I do want to read some of this to you here. So again, today is election day, so make sure you go to the polls. November 7th, I'm sorry, as I click on my computer, laptop that is freaking freezing as usual. Isn't that how it works? Okay, so Israel launches hundreds of precision airstrikes against Hamas, and yes, I'm glad they're doing it. They have not chosen to cease fire upon the terrorists that wreaked havoc and just destruction on October 7th, killing 1,400 Israelis, some Americans included in that as well. They're still holding many hostage. So Israel Defense Forces announced yesterday that over the last 24 hours, it had executed an intense aerial bombing campaign against Hamas. The IDF captured a Hamas military compound inside of Gaza that contained observation posts, training areas for Hamas operatives. I don't even know how they built this stuff up, with Israel being able to spy on these people. It's insane. And underground terror tunnels, according to a press release, IDF said that its fighter jets had, quote, struck over 450 Hamas targets, including tunnels, terrorist military compounds, observation posts, anti-tank missile launch posts, and more. So obviously they are softening up the enemy as they proceed to enter into Gaza and try to take care of business there. And I do pray that they're successful, and I pray that it won't be listen, I don't want any innocent civilians to die. This is war. This is why war sucks, and it is going to happen. There's going to be some civilians that are going to die on both sides, but frankly, were it not for Hamas attacking Israel and the Hamas being a proxy of Iran, were it not for them attacking Israel and exacting a 9/11 10, 12 times the size of America's 9/11, then this would not be happening. Barack Obama came out and said some things, how we're all complicit. No, Barack Obama, you and Joe Biden are complicit. Both of you decided to fund the mullahs of Iran, who in turn funded their proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah. So don't blame us. So perhaps I'll do a short on that one. Perhaps I'll do a short on that one a little later here. A woman in Indiana drives her car into a building she described as a Jewish school. Isn't it amazing how the violence always seems to be on the left? So this lady, it was a terrorist attack, and an Indiana woman drove her car or plowed her car into a building. She thought it was full of Jews. It turns out it was the black Israelites, right, who claim to be God's only, true people and all this kind of so on, etc. They're basically an anti-Jewish group. So she got the wrong people. They were haters just like her. But that goes to show you what's happening. There was another gentleman, I believe his name is Kessler, Jerry Kessler, if I'm not mistaken, that was killed in a pro-Palestinian, pro-Israel clash. Yeah, gentleman by the name of, Paul Kessler, died at the age of 69. Apparently, he was struck on the head by a microphone. So yeah, a bunch of peaceful protesters, right? This is where we're at in the United States. But anyway, I do want to make sure the most important thing today is that you get out and make your voices heard wherever there are elections going on. There's some that are happening right near me. Unfortunately, I thought I was going to be voting today. I'm not going to be voting today. The races aren't in my district, unfortunately. But for those of you if they are, please make sure you get out and make your voices heard as of today. Okay, so you watched the video. I don't want to make this video too long here, but you watched the video of this shooter yet again, and I just want to make it emphatically clear. I really don't see except for narrative. That's what it's about. Except for narrative, the manifesto so far, and I understand there's much more to come eventually, but there is no reason for law enforcement, for the DOJ to step in and to tell the Nashville Police Department or who to withhold this information of the manifesto. Absolutely no reason whatsoever. Everything that we heard and saw, we expected. I don't think you're going to cause any more pain to the victims' families besides the pain that they've already endured as a result of this. So if you would have gotten this out earlier, it makes no sense, except they wanted to control the narrative. But what's so frustrating too is when you go back and watch this video. Look, okay, first off, this is a chica trying to be a dude. So obviously that is not good. That is not good for the left. Many of their donors, right, suffer with gender dysphoria, or some mega donors, their donor class. Also, I think one of the reasons why the left didn't want this manifesto out is who are the victims here? Who are the real victims? It happens to be white Christians that are somewhat affluent, right, or live in an affluent area. Although she did happen to murder the black custodian as well. So much for that, right? And some of the things that she said was just so beyond belief. Another thing that needs to be brought into question is, what are we doing about mentally ill patients? Had this person escaped or been under the FBI's radar, this is something that we need to know. But there's obviously an issue, we already can see it's obvious, with mental illness when it came to this mass shooter, this mass school shooter. So there are already issues there. So it tells us that we're not doing a good enough job. Instead of making guns the issue, maybe we need to figure out how to better address the mental, it seems like, pandemic that is occurring across America. Now, I'm not saying we weren't already dealing with mental issues. Of course we were. But it does seem post-COVID, post-pandemic, the numbers have just skyrocketed. It's insane. Some of the things that she said were overwhelmingly racist. As a matter of fact, I just want to read some quotes to you of some of the words that she had written in her manifesto. And again, this was the Nashville trans mass shooter. So anyway, this is from Hot Air. The ongoing investigation into the March 27th murders of 6 persons inside the Covenant School continues to show, from all information currently available, that killer Audrey Hale acted totally alone in the collective writings by Hale found in her vehicle in the school parking lot, and others later found in the bedroom of her home. She documented in journals her planning over a period of months to commit this mass murder at the Covenant School. This, according to the Metro Nashville Police Department, what they said in an update. On Monday. The update noted that the writings by Hale remain under investigation by officials with the MNPD and the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. However, Hale's motive currently remains unknown, but the update added that it is known that Hale considered the actions of other mass murderers. I'm sorry. I think we do know her motives. Can I read them to you? These are some of the words. All right. So guys, cover your ears if you happen to be listening to this around children. I will blank out some of the words here. But this is from the shooter herself. This is from Audrey, and she says she was. This was Death Day. All right, that she was targeting crackers with white privileges. She apparently spelled privileges wrong. She says, "Want to kill all you little crackers. I hope I have a high death count." And I know this is graphic for some. Frankly, this is more toned down than I thought it was going to be, which makes me a little even more frustrated that they didn't release this right away, except to say that what law enforcement and the Department of Justice were trying to do was obviously to control the narrative. All right, so right away, excuse me, right away, isn't it amazing how right away we knew who the main mass shooter was? Started learning about his history all quick, but when it came to Audrey Hale, we can't know anything about her. But the reason is simple: one fit the left's narrative, and the other didn't. The main shooter, white male, but and then we started finding out more. Now that has gone bye-bye. That story has virtually been memory hold now that we realize that he had mental issues and he was on the FBI's radar. Some of his National Guard buddies or colleagues or whatever literally tried to turn him in. So this is absolutely insane. But when it came to Audrey, she did not fit the narrative. Again, she's a white female undergoing a transition, if you will. And obviously, Christians being slaughtered by someone on the left is not a good look for the left's movement. So that didn't bode well for them. The mental illness that they're not covering, that did not bode well for them at all. It did not bode well for the left at all. All right, so she goes on to say, again, want to kill all you little crackers. I hope I have a high death count. I'm ready. I hope my victims aren't. What did she mean by that? What does she mean by that? Look at this. If you go back and you just watch this video, I mean, honestly, if you had somebody sitting there, a guard with a firearm, that threat would have been eliminated right then and there. She shoots up the door. She crouches underneath the door framing in order to get into the facility with her back turned. Over and done with. If this isn't an argument for the Second Amendment as opposed to against the Second Amendment, I don't know what is. You're not going to control crazy. You're not going to control evil. You can have all the laws on the book that you want. You are never, ever, 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 ever going to be able to control evil. It is impossible. All right? It is never going to happen. Evil people, sometimes crazy, are going to find a way to get their hands on a gun. Why? Because that's what evil does. That's what criminals do. That's what makes them criminals. And there's nothing you can do. Look at all the laws on the book against murder, but do people stop committing murder? All the laws on the books against rape. Do people stop committing rape? But these laws act as a deterrent. You don't punish a whole group of people over the others. But I'm ready. I hope my victims aren't. I think she was hoping that she wouldn't run into resistance. She said she's ready to die. She also said going to fancy private schools with those fancy khakis. So she's class warfare Junkie, it appears, definitely something the left loves uttering. She says they have sports backpacks with their daddies, Mustangs, and convertibles. A little envy there. She says, want to kill all you little crackers, bunch of little. And she says a gay slur expletive, a gay slur there, an F-word gay slur, with your white privileges. Man, sounds like some CRT or DEI crept in. There were several times I could have been caught, especially back in the summer of 2021. Now, I don't know if this means anything, all right? So I did hear Cal Seraphin on the space. I forget exactly what the FBI called this, but basically it could have been something that she perceived like, hey, I was going to do this act. I can't believe I didn't get caught. So it could have been something in her own mind, her own perception. Or it could have been, was this chick on the FBI's radar? Inquiring minds want to know. That's what I think we need to know. It might be 10 minutes tops. It might be 3 to 7. It's gonna go quick, she says. All right, man. So I mean, she seems as though she knew what was coming. All right, so she's gonna make it quick. Does that mean she intends to get in or get out? Does that mean she expected to be killed? I assume it means the latter. But this was going to be quick work for this terrorist. So again, this absolutely makes no sense. It made no sense for people to hide this information. All this was about controlling the narrative. If you don't believe we live in a deep state, I don't know what to tell you, because in my opinion, we definitely do. You have the Metropolitan or Metro Nashville Police Department, it seems to me, conspiring with the DOJ in order to keep this information from us. It wasn't that way initially, but obviously the DOJ got involved in this. And again, just real quick, here's what we have. It's narrative. The main shooter, we got that information right away. This did not fit the left's narrative, because you have a woman that is transitioning into a man that happens to be a terrorist. Also, it was Christians that were the innocent victims that were slaughtered like lambs. That does not bode well for the left. Mental illness, as opposed to, hey, there's a gun issue. Was there a history of mental illness where this person should have never, where Audrey should have never gotten her hands on a gun? Imagine, again, look at how she's walking through. This chick would have been an easy threat to eliminate if someone was armed inside of that school. And I'm not knocking the school, but I think this is a reason to have armed security in our schools. This chick was racist. This chick was espoused class warfare. That's classic socialism, classic Marxism. We want to know if she's on the FBI's radar. I've said this time and time again. Inquiring minds want to know. Guys, listen, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please go out and vote today. Also, support my sponsor. Follow me on all things social media at the Carl Jackson Show. And then subscribe, rate, review, like, wherever you go. All right. Do whatever you got to do wherever you go. We'd appreciate it. And until next time, do not grow weary doing good, and God bless you.